Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Busy on Break. We are very happy to have you with us today. I know it's been a little bit of a while since we've last done some filming, but we are back from our hiatus. We're going to do some life updates, check and see what everybody's been up to. But we got the panel here, and Rylan, how's it going over there, brother?
It's going good over here. It's nice and crispy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely crispy. It's starting to get pretty fally out there
Yeah.
with a lot of the leaves falling and everything. Shane, how's it going over there, man?
It's going swell. Everything is going pretty well. I just got back from a 2-week trip to Europe, so that was a lot of fun. And then about a week prior, I was the best man in this guy's wedding, and his wedding was an absolute blast.
Yeah, that's one thing we are absolutely going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the wedding, possibly how dynamics have changed or if they've even stayed the same. I'm definitely interested to hear about what you have to say about that. With that being said, like I said, this is Busy on Break. Let's get to the conversation, guys.
Woo!
All right. Thank you guys very much for joining us today. Like I said, we've been on hiatus for quite a while over here, but we're going to kind of get back into the swing of things. In some future episodes, we're going to be welcoming some guests on the show. We're definitely looking forward to that. We're still trying to work out the kinks and the details as to what's going to happen with that. But let's start with some life updates so far. I mean, obviously the really big update, my boy Arcats got himself married. He put a ring on it. Let's go.
You.
Dude, seriously, congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
Thank you, boys.
It was a genuine privilege to be able to attend that wedding. It was a lot of fun, especially when the chair was getting lifted up in the air, especially with your brother, dude. That was
Yes.
super hilarious.
We lifted Justin up like 15 times, and he looked like it was the happiest moment of his entire life.
Yeah, that was just a great time. I mean, so our big audience knows. I had a Jewish wedding, so part of the tradition is lifting the bride and groom in a chair, but because we're not Orthodox or anything like that, everyone just part of the family got on the chair. My brother got on the chair. My dad did.
Your mom.
My mom. Rebecca, my wife's brother. So my brother-in-law also got on the chair. It was just a fun time. So
I was going to say, we got our workouts worth. I think there was like
Oh,
6 of
yeah,
us.
you
We
did.
were lifting you guys up. We're like, we're not going to the gym and doing shoulders for at least a week.
yeah, and yeah, and we also practiced like before the wedding how to do that. So it was a lot of fun. Well, how did you guys feel during the wedding? Like, what were you guys doing the whole time? Because I couldn't pay attention to everyone.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we practiced lifting you up in the suite in the back, and that was kind of fun. But yeah, it was a good time. I liked hanging out with the different groups of people that were here, and I had my date that I was spending time with, dancing with.
She was awesome,
kind
by
of
the
all
way.
over the place. Oh,
Seriously.
thank you, appreciate it. So I really enjoyed it, man. Like there was a really good DJ playing some really good music.
DJ Frank, yeah, he was excellent.
Got to see your parents, our buddy Joe's parents, a lot of familiar faces. So kind of felt like, a lot of people I know were in one place at one time. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you're like the center of attention in this wedding, but at the same time, I got such a kick out of watching the different dynamics, like watching Rebecca's cousins or my friends interact, and then
Yeah.
later on, I looked at the photos and seeing how much fun you guys were having because I didn't have time to like really be involved with all the groups, but like it was just a good time. Obviously very special for me, but I hope it was special for all you. So
Well, I mean, we're essentially seeing like a life transition with you guys, and that was honestly one of the best experiences of my entire life. Especially, like, you guys could not have picked a better day to do an outdoor wedding. It was beautiful
Yeah.
outside.
Yes.
we got so effing lucky because we kept checking the weather and like I don't know if anyone feels this way about the weather, but it's so inconsistent. They'll tell you one day it's going to rain, the next day it's sunny, and then the following days rain, and you're like, all right, is it going to be sunny on my wedding? Is it going to rain? And like the day of, they're like, it's gonna rain at noon, and it did, and that was all it rained.
Weather Channel, I'm specifically looking at you. Fix your dang application because
what
it's
is
almost never accurate
Yeah,
within
some
2
bullshit.
days.
And you can look at like the Weather Channel, AccuWeather, the weather.gov, and they're all telling you different things on the same. You're like, which is it? Is it sunshine or is it a tornado? Like, tell me what's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
Sunshines or is it going to be rainbows? And be fucking consistent.
Like, how can one day have like 4 different like predictions? I don't understand.
Well, don't you know, this is the future. And of course, in 2015, according to Back to the Future, we're supposed to know when the rain stops at a very particular time. And of course, we don't have that these days.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Dang you. Who directed that movie? Steven Spielberg?
I think it was probably
I
Steven
think it was
Spielberg.
Spielberg.
Yeah,
Dang you did not predict correctly.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean the wedding was great. I did feel a little anxious, but for the most part I was just calm. I was ready. Rebecca, my wife, was definitely more anxious than I was, but I think everyone handles like stressful and like not even just stressful, but just being the center of attention differently. Which
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you guys feel about being the center of attention? Because obviously it was my wedding, but it was also Rebecca's, so we were the center. I know you do some video work, so
Yep.
how do you? And you do open mics. So how do you guys feel about being the center?
Yeah, I think being the center of attention is challenging, especially if you're not used to it. So I make YouTube videos on various topics, and I think it's just all about like checking your ego and just trying to provide value to people. Like on your wedding day, being the best man. My focus was on like, okay, how can I make it a smooth experience for Rylan? How can I make it a good time, a positive, uplifting experience? So, you just try to say to yourself, like, look, I just gotta, just try to be humble and try to be rational and try not to take anything to, to heart. So like I make videos, I've been able to build a fairly medium-sized following, and just try to stay humble and try to stay like grounded and not let it get to your head. Let anything get to your head.
You gotta check your center of attention privilege over there.
You 100%
How
need to
dare
check
you.
your ego privilege. Always keep that in check.
Do you guys think there's something to like the quality of your work when you do that? Because I feel personally, the less I feel important, the better the outcome. Does that make sense? So like, if for example, Joe, you do music, if you're feeling like you're, I don't know, Robert Plant or something, but your voice is
GOAT.
just mediocre, people are gonna be like, this person thinks they're the shit and they're just mediocre. Versus if you say to yourself, I'm just mediocre, people hear you and they're like, this is the next Robert Plant. Like, is there that dynamic in music?
Yeah, you got to really be careful as to how much you promote yourself, because there really is a delicate balance of how you present yourself in public. The short of it is stay humble about it. And kind of like what you said.
Yeah,
earlier.
that's a good point, Joe. I think you said it pretty well there. I think it's all about like, because when people sense that someone's very cocky and arrogant, people just don't gravitate towards that. People don't like it. So I think if you come off as humble and maybe even a little self-deprecating, I try to do that in my videos. People like that, and people can appreciate like some humility and like the fact that you're a human and don't think you're like this almighty, God.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's very interesting. You use the word that because like it's also biblical, right? Like the meek shall inherit. They're not to get like on that track, but like this has been a concept for a long time. So I think there's something to it. Like the less involved you are about your dynamic of power, the more powerful you really are. Because like only a true leader and someone that people want to listen to can be humble. I think that's what you want in someone that's the center of attention,
Yeah.
Because you kind of are leading people. When you're a musician up on stage, you're leading the music. When you're getting married, people have come to see you. Like you're leading the charge in that realm. And like when you're doing videos, you're a leader in thought and what people think about certain topics and stuff.
Yeah, it's also having some sense of responsibility. Like, when you are the center of attention, you want to make sure that you're giving, good information and you're not like poisoning the minds, so to say. I think that's important.
That's
Alex.
like that's an interesting dynamic because it's like if you're I try not to say stuff that's like fake news, you know, because like I feel so stupid
Fake
when
news.
I think we've been guilty of that on the show.
Just
already.
watch MSNBC or Fox.
Like we've been trying to be like, yo, like we know something about this, and then like I look it up later and I'm like, oh, I gave wrong information.
Bad information.
Yeah, I feel so bad when I do that because like I'm
We
really
are so amazing at giving financial advice here on this YouTube
Don't listen to
channel.
anything we're saying finance related.
whatever we say, just don't take it too seriously because
Here's the thing: we don't know anything at all.
Yeah.
We're actually really stupid.
yes,
Our collective IQ is like a 150.
yes, on a good
Speak
day.
for yourself. I have an
70.
IQ of a potato. Okay,
40 IQ.
level 69 IQ.
There you go.
So that actually brings up a really interesting question I want to ask you guys. So, do you think that there's a limit to how much you can use self-deprecating humor? Because I think to an extent, I mean, I think everybody should be able to make fun of themselves. I try to do it as much as I possibly can, but I almost feel like if you do it too much, it can almost be interpreted as a sign of weakness.
Yeah, I
What do you
agree.
guys think about that?
Yeah, and once again, there's like a balance, I think, because if you're too self-deprecating, it doesn't come off as funny. It comes off as like you're just anxious, and then everyone else is anxious. For example, if you were doing like an open mic, there's only so much you can do in self-deprecation before you have to switch topics to like the next. So I think there's definitely a balance. And then if you're, especially if you're like a musician, like you don't want to be too self-deprecating because then like people won't enjoy the music, or if
Yeah.
you're doing YouTube, they won't take you as an authority figure. So it depends on the scenario, but you can be more self-deprecating in open mics in comedy, a little bit less
I was about to bring that
as
up,
a
yeah.
musician, and even less as like an authority on, let's say, dating or something. So
Yeah, it's a good point, Rylan, because you don't want to be like so self-deprecating that you come off as like the depressed loner incel.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to like be not self-deprecating at all, and then you come off as this like arrogant like piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a certain degree of like humility and self-deprecation that you have, where maybe it's a certain trait that you have you can make fun of, but then you also want to like show that you have some level of confidence so people, you know, take you seriously. It's like this fine, it's kind of like a fine line between like being not too arrogant and not too self-deprecating. You want to kind of toe that line as best you can.
Absolutely.
one thing I hate about just working in the corporate office, though, is how like the leaders don't self-deprecate at all.
No.
Like they're so serious that if you even comment about like that stain on their shirt, you might be fired or something. That to me is almost like too authoritarian, you know?
100%, because I feel like it's an interesting point you brought up, because I feel like especially senior leaders like a CEO or CFO is like, I'm surprised they're not self-deprecating even just a little bit, because that can show like their subordinates that they're
Yeah.
a little bit human. But like they want to have this like high level thought from their subordinates that like they never joke around, they never, you know, show any humanity, and that's why like senior leaders are like so disliked amongst
Yeah.
the rest of the corporation, because they just don't feel human.
Well, they're almost talking like if you would ask AI a question, they have this like
Yep.
amazing response.
Yes.
They don't even think about it for a second. It's like, that's not what humans are like in real
No.
life at all.
No, it seems like it's like scripted. Like they're in their like leaders meeting. Oh, if one of your subordinates asks this is the best response you can say back. This is the best like corporate response that you can say.
Or are the people asking those questions given those questions to ask the leaders,
The
right?
softball questions.
Yeah, like are they not just scripted from the start? You know,
Yeah.
not even if someone says this, but like we're gonna tell someone to say this.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder if that happens on like the news as well. Like
Yeah.
the news asks like the CEO of BlackRock a question and he already has his response ready. Or like MSNBC asks like a certain candidate a question and then they already have a response prepared. Same thing with Fox asking conservative question. I've always found that interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think that's a really good summation as to what's been going on with you, Rylan, especially with the wedding that came up, especially with self-esteem versus center of attention. Shane, I wanted to try and do some catch up with you because from what I understand, you did a pretty an interesting trip here. How long were you away for this trip, and where did you go?
Yeah, I was in Europe for 2 weeks, and I was in Finland for about a week.
Finland!
The happiest country in the world. That's what they're known by. They're also known for like really good salmon and reindeer. Their salmon was good, the reindeer not so much, but
It seems like it would be gamey.
yeah, definitely very gamey, I would say. Very gamey. So I was there, spent a week there. I did like a day trip to this place called Tallinn, Estonia, which is like this, has like a medieval castle vibe, but you're walking these like tight like cobblestone streets, medieval churches, medieval castles.
Did you see Vladimir Putin on your journey?
I did. I didn't want to go up to him though. He was
A little cocky.
he was a little cocky.
I didn't know
He
you were
was sitting with,
badass.
Kim Jong Un. They were having. I think they're having like salmon soup in this medieval restaurant. And they looked over at me, looked at me weird. They pegged me as a stupid dumb American. So I just waved, and they didn't wave back, and I just kept walking. Actually, but
All
but
right, maybe next time you can say hi.
maybe next time. But then I did a week in Norway. I did a couple days in a place called Bergen, which is like kind of like central Norway. Did some hiking there, went on a fjord cruise, and then I went to a place called Stavanger. It's on the southern port of Norway, and did some more hiking, did some more sightseeing. But you know, if you like nature, you like the outdoors, Norway is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Helsinki, Finland, Tallinn, Estonia were really good for sightseeing, really good architecture, especially in Tallinn. But yeah, Europe's amazing. If you get a chance to travel there, it's well worth it. Way different. It's a culture shock coming from the America, and then it's reverse culture shock coming back. So it was a hell of a trip. I enjoyed it.
You know, something I would really like to know. People say that the English language is completely messed up. Whenever you spell fjord, why is there a J in there?
Fjord. I know, it's interesting because it's fjord. You wouldn't think it's a J. You'd think it would be like, you know, FY or something like that. But
yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, I've always wanted to go to a country like that. Now, specifically, the country I would eventually like to travel to is France, and especially go to Paris Disneyland. I think that's a place I would like to go
You
to.
would go to Disneyland.
Absolutely.
hell yeah.
Hey, I have no shame, okay? I went to Walt Disney World. It was a lot of fun. I'm 31 years old. I will absolutely vouch for that. Hey, Disney's a lot of fun.
You want to understand
man.
like the people's culture? You go to Disneyland. When you go to
McDonald's
People's
too.
culture.
What are they really like? Let's go to Disneyland and find out.
Secretly, that's the reason why you're wearing that red shirt, right?
Because I'm a communist. yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Commie!
Fucking commie.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, either way, dude, like seriously, that's awesome. The fact that you're able to get some genuine travel experiences. I mean, at this point, I would say that, and this goes for both of you guys. You guys are very well traveled individuals, and
Thank you.
And actually, that does bring up a little question. If you become well traveled, do you think that number one makes you a more well-rounded individual, and number two, do you think it helps out your dating life?
What do you think about that?
I'll
Ron?
answer the first one.
I'll answer the second
Yeah,
one.
how we go like that? Yeah, I think there's something to be said about doing the same thing in a different environment. So take just drinking alcohol. I don't know what it's like in Finland. I don't know what it's like in Norway, but I was in Aruba for my honeymoon, and the drinking there was different than you would do at a bar in our local like towns. People were just getting trashed because like it was like an all-inclusive. It was weird because like a lot of people were in their 60s, just like smashed. I don't see that every day. Like I'm not used to seeing
You don't see 6-year-olds
senior
at bars
citizens
too
just
often,
trashed.
at least on the
Like,
weekends.
they were just they were acting like children. Like it was wild.
Go home, Grandpa.
But like they were being belligerently drunk, which is funny, and you wouldn't see that normally. I'm not even advocating for that, but I mean, what's the drinking like in Norway and Finland?
Oh, I was gonna say Norway and Finland, they know how to drink. Like they can drink Americans under the table, especially
man.
in Norway.
I believe
Norway, so Norwegians and Finnish people, they're very reserved during the week. It's a whole different culture over there, but Friday night, Saturday night, like they love to talk. They love Americans, and they love to drink, and they love to party. They love to tell stories. They're a lot. I feel like Norwegians and Finnish people are a lot more friendly when they're drinking than Americans are. Americans tend to just kind of stay in their groups when they're out at bars, whereas I feel like Norwegians and Finnish people, maybe it was because I was American, but they tended to want to get to know you, want to talk to you, like, you know, joke about Trump, joke about American politics, stuff like that. But people in Europe, they kind of binge drink once or twice a week, so they really go hard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I got to take a piss. Is that all right?
No, that's totally
All
fine.
right. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I feel like I'm not going to be funny if I just like keep thinking I got it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even like when you have like a group of like 9 or 10 people, like I noticed like the three of us, we can talk about like politics, dating, you know, current events, like psychology. But when you're in a group of like 8 or 9 people, the conversation that you have is so much more like surface level.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really go too deep or philosophical. So that's something that I've noticed with bigger groups as well. But I think you do a great job hosting. I think when you have 8 or 9 people, it's harder because you kind of have to bop around, and because not all 8 or 9 people are going to be in the same group or going to jive that well. So as the host, you kind of have to bop around and try to include everyone the best you can.
So a lot of people get this idea that, oh, I don't want to hang out with these people because it's way too cliquey. You know, there's a lot of people that tend to jive with particular groups of people. I feel like that's where cliques tend to happen the most. And it makes sense. I mean, if you're in a large group of people, you're going to gravitate to what is most comfortable to you. Mm-hmm. And what's most comfortable to you, and for most people out there, is bonding with people that you already know. I have one friend, and unfortunately I haven't talked with him in quite a while, so I got to catch up with him. But he is an insanely talented guitar player. In fact, I think you saw him perform that one night.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I think you know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Super good guy. He's excellent at playing the guitar, but he's even better in social situations. That night, after the open mic, we were originally going to get a group of people to go out into this town, start, drinking, maybe socializing. He went over there by himself. He went to all the bars by himself, and he started making friends with people in the upstairs rooms.
That's the skill set I just don't have.
I
wish I could do that. I wish I could go to any town on a Friday night and make 10 friends that night. I can't do it. Mm-hmm. It's just too, for me, I'm just not myself. I'm too shallow. I'm too phony I probably could achieve that, but he must be genuine and just a nice guy. But to me, if I'm not cracking jokes to be funny, but make people like me, it's phony,
That's our other buddy, Joe. That's his skill. He could go to any town and make 10 friends that night.
Joe, we have a lot of Joes in this friend group, but another person named Joe is a true extrovert.
True
extrovert.
Charismatic extrovert.
And he's genuine the whole time. He's not phony about it. He just makes friends wherever he goes. Literally.
Clockwork, water.
One of the nicest. He literally is the nicest person I know. No offense, he really is.
Yeah.
But I just don't have. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm mostly introverted with extroverted features, so I can do all right. But I can't do what your friend you described can do.
Yeah, I can't do that either.
Yeah, it really does take a very specific set of social skill sets to be able to do something like that. And it's like I said, after yesterday, after hosting that get together, I know all of these people, and I struggled with that. And also I had, I think, about 4 or 5 beers.
What movie did you guys watch?
We ended up seeing Clue.
Okay.
From 1985, which, by the way, is a highly recommended movie. So there's a modern version of that movie that is also phenomenal. But this one in particular, is, especially since it's back in 1985, I was expecting, retro movie vibes and stuff. It was actually really witty.
Is Tim Curry in that?
I'd probably know him if
I'll look it up.
I could
Yeah.
put a face to it. But Christopher Lloyd was in it,
Okay.
and really it was him, and I think it was another guy that was in. I think it was Home Alone.
Oh, Macaulay Culkin?
Not Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, Tim Curry's in it.
Okay,
Curry.
so yeah, we're probably thinking of the same movie. Either way, it was a really good time, and we'll have to see. There was also a couple of really cute women over there as well. So, I don't know.
Did you chat? I mean, because
Getting numbers?
kind of get into like,
I'm thinking about getting one right now.
because
Okay, all right.
yeah, because you cut. So we were just talking about in the beginning, like when you're the center of attention. When you're hosting a movie night outside with the projector, you're kind of in this dynamic once again where you're the leader.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
Women like that too.
they like that.
They like that.
I also think that being prepared in a situation like that would help out tremendously as well, because I made the mistake of pretty much waiting until the last minute to really set up the screen, set up the sound system, get the fire all set up and whatnot. And it's almost like I didn't really have time to really talk to anybody. I was kind of like managing wires, making sure that everything was kind of in its right place. Whereas if I had everything set up right from the get-go, I think I would have been a lot better, and I think it would have come across a little bit better. So obviously you could do anything better than how you did it originally, but I'm a major procrastinator, so that's something I got to really work on.
What's nice is you can host it again and again and get better. Where like a wedding, you get one shot at it.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
it's a whole nother level of like for those who are thinking about getting married, there is a lot of anxiety leading up to it. But if you do the work, like you're saying, if you put in the time and don't procrastinate, I wasn't anxious at all because we had done the work. You know, if you put in the
Yeah.
work, you don't have to feel anxious. So
Yeah, you prepared ahead of time, and you definitely
It
don't want to do
absolutely
a third or
showed.
fourth wedding.
Yeah,
yeah, if you're not one and done, that's an issue with weddings. So.
yeah.
But you can host that same projector night 3, 4, or 5
Yeah.
times, and if you invite us, we'll talk you up. We'll talk you up to the
Let's
girls
go.
that
I
are
want to go to one of these movie nights.
Yeah,
I've been
seriously.
Oh,
missing
you
them.
will. You
Yeah.
will. I mean, if possible, I'd like to get like another one going, but
I'm down.
Get more people from this particular set of friend group. So
we will
I think it's
talk you
definitely
up.
gonna happen.
Whatever girl you like, we will talk you up to the gods.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Well, here, I think it might be a good idea to kind of switch gears here a little bit. I mean, obviously, since we're kind of talking about women here, I want to bring up pre-selection. And what exactly does it mean for the viewers that might not know or have heard of a term like this before? Because, we are starting to get into, can I say it's red pill terminology
Yeah,
to a
it's
certain
definitely
extent?
like a dating red pill topic, I would say. It's actually a really interesting topic.
Okay, so from the expert himself, what does it mean?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert at pre-selection, but I appreciate it. But I think it's an interesting concept that a lot of dating coaches talk about. It's basically the premise that if one woman likes you, if women like you in general, it's going to lead other women to find you attractive. Case in point, like you're married, you walk around with a wedding band. Do you find that women are more comfortable around you when they see that?
Yeah. Just so we're clear, this is a very tricky topic for me, but I'll answer it as honestly as I can. So what I've noticed in the month or so I've been married, I've had just generally more understanding interactions with women where I think, I don't know, there's something to a lone wolf that women don't feel comfortable around, where when they see this wedding band, even if I'm by myself, they know I'm not a lone wolf. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could be a phony. I mean, there's George Costanza from Seinfeld. He does that.
Yes.
But
yes.
you have to be, in reality, a fucking psycho to wear a wedding band and not be married. Like, I'm sorry. Like that, because of the level, first of all, if you get a nice wedding band, it's not cheap. And then, anyways, there's so many reasons why you wouldn't want to do it. But when you're actually wearing a wedding band because you're married, the interactions I've found is that they're more comfortable with me and more understanding. Because, like, I was at Panera, like, the week after we got married, and I guess I was just coming off as a dumbass, but she thought it was like, I don't know, normal because I'm married, you know? Like,
I see.
she's like,
Okay.
he might be an idiot, but he somehow got married, so he figured it out.
He figured it out anyway.
They give you a little more leeway. They're like, all right, you obviously had to perform at a high level to get married. Like, even if it's not an amazing wedding, there's a lot of planning. It's a level of maturity that not every guy will ever have in life. So, in my experience so far, it's been very brief, but women are more comfortable around me. And yeah, I feel more comfortable around them because I know they know that I'm off the table. So
It's a good point, and also like maybe a girl is like, oh, he's wearing a wedding band. I don't have to worry about him like aggressively hitting on me.
yeah, they know it's not going to happen. And I think everyone just has a better conversation when they can relax and just talk, you know?
100%. And then I think pre-selection does two things. I think it creates attraction with women that are your type. If you're a woman's type, it creates more attraction. And then I think it also creates comfort. So I think the two recent examples, one of them is I went to the Buddy Joe's wedding with a date. And, the night before, there was a girl that was in the bride's party who I guess she had kind of had a thing for me or whatever. And she came over to the table.
It's an understatement.
He was there too. But she came up to the table and she was like, hey, let's get a drink. And we were getting a drink and I was by the bar and she came up behind me and just smacked my ass real hard.
Oh,
and I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm coming here with a date. And that was like, when she heard that, it almost made her like more attracted to me.
Oh gosh.
And then on the
have you followed up with her at all since that wedding?
We talked a little bit. We never met up in person.
Okay.
We never met
All
up
right.
in person. But it was funny because I remember telling my date when I got back to the hotel, and she was like, oh, really? That's interesting. And like, she kind of got like a little bit like uneasy about it. And it was like, it made her more attractive because the girl in the bride's party was like into me. So the next day there was like this weird dichotomy between my date. It was also kind of like a tall versus short thing because my date was like 5'8", 5'9", and she was like 4'11",
Yeah, she was short, yeah.
super short. But when I remember she like smacked my ass like 3 times that week. 3 times that
She smacked
week.
your ass in front of the whole audience.
Yeah,
like the whole
yeah.
wedding.
So I was walking out with her. She was like my pair. We get to the end. We turn to the tables, and she just comes up behind me and smacks my ass again. And I come back down to the table with my date, and my date was like laughing. And then, I told her, I was like, I didn't know that was gonna happen. She's just like, she really likes you. Our other buddy Joe was there. Joe's dad, Joe's mom saw this, and then I remember a little bit later on, she's like, I can't stand that girl. Oh, she's like, I can't stand her.
Didn't the short one like growl at your date or something?
Yeah, so this got even more weird. So I was on the dance floor dancing with my date, the taller one, and then the other, the bridesmaid, the girl, she walks by, and then she just like growls at like my date. Like it was like this weird like quick growl and
animalistic.
it was like very
Jeez.
animalistic. So towards the end of the night, my date went to the bathroom and I was walking up to get some more cake, and the bridesmaid walks past me and she like grabs my wrist and she was just like, come back and hang out with me, like insinuating like come back to the hotel. So I was like, nah, sorry, I can't, like I have a date, like I can't be doing that. And she's just like, fuck your date. I'm like, what? I was like, damn. And Rylan he didn't see all this, but he kind of could see a little bit, bits and pieces.
So I'll say one thing that's really nice about being married, not trying to simp, but this is true. When you're married, a lot of this drama just goes away.
Yeah.
So that whole night, I didn't see what you saw. Like I saw some of it, and I can confirm what Shane is saying is accurate. But your life gets so much less stressful when you marry the right person. Because like I was just hanging out with my fiance at the time, soon to be wife. We went to the pool. We were just hanging out. Like it was so much chiller.
You dipped out.
Yeah, like we danced for a little bit, and then we went to the pool, and then we just went to bed. Like it was great, but not as chaotic as your nights.
No, my night was very chaotic. It turned out well and everything, but that was just an example. So for the bridesmaid, I guess I was her type. She liked tall guys with tattoos. But the date I was with, that's also her type. So I think for girls that you're their type, it makes, when they see you with a woman, it makes them more attracted. And then, but I also think for other women that maybe don't find you attractive, or women that are in relationships, when they see you with a date or they see you with a woman, it creates comfort because they know, okay, this guy's with a date. He's not going to hit on me.
Well, I think it's basically, in a way, that woman you're on a date with, that other women see, that woman is validating to the rest of like women's society, like this guy have something going on for himself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily true, but they think, oh, he can't be a complete psycho. He can't be a fucking piece of shit.
Loser.
Like, he can't be a loser if he's dating her, right? It's not true, but that's the way society kind of is in favor of the people that are doing well in life. It's like, it's even easier for you. Like, it's not like you needed help, but they'll even assist you even more. Society will assist you even more when it validates that you're trustworthy, you know?
Yeah, I do think pre-selection, there's a limit to it though, because I guess the most recent example is I came home from like my Europe trip and I posted like photos up there, and I'm dating a girl now that I really like. And it just so happened that like 4 like pretty like fairly attractive women like commented on the photos, and one of them really went hard, like just blew up every photo with like hearts and stuff like that. And the girl I'm dating now, she kind of joked and she's like, who's this Tanya chick? Like, who's Alex? Like, who's Kim? Like, so it all kind of happened in spurs. So I had to tell her like, oh, these are girls like I know, and these are girls I
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest, you got to get ahead of that, because the imagination will fill in the gaps. So if you don't give like detailed explanations, it could bite you later. Just
yeah.
FYI.
Well, for some of them, there's no detailed explanations. It's just like
randos.
a random girl, or
wow.
a friend of a friend, or just someone that
Yeah.
I matched with once. So like, but in a way, like that will make her more attracted to me, because she's like, okay, these other girls find you somewhat attractive.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, then she's like, it might create like worry.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. You don't want
Yeah,
that.
you definitely. I mean, communication's everything in relationships, so you don't want to leave any gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's gaps, there's usually tension, and then you don't find out until after the fact that this was going on.
Yeah.
You might not hear about it until 3 weeks later. You're like, oh my God, we're still talking about this? Like, I thought, for me, for that reason, was when we went to Vegas, went to Sapphire.
Yeah.
And
Sapphire Gentleman's
I
Club.
mean, you as my witness, me, God as my witness, I did not go back and have a dance with any of the lovely ladies that were trying to get me to go back.
Oh, they were really trying. They were like rubbing your chest. They're like, come on, no, like, come back here.
He resisted.
And looking back on it, it was the smartest thing I could have done. But when I got back, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, was upset because I sent her a video from another night when we went to Heart Attack Grill, where I got spanked by some, like, I don't know, woman that was dressed as a nurse who was really a waitress. But she confused that night at Sapphire for the night we went to the Heart Attack Grill. So she thought I got spanked at a strip club. I'm like, that's not a strip club. There's like, this is actually like a family restaurant that like it's in Vegas. Anyone can go. There's no age limit. Versus Sapphire, you have to be 21.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, the imagination will fill in the gaps. I sent her the video of me getting spanked at the Heart Attack Grill with no context, and she was pissed because she filled in the gaps thinking this was the strip club. So you have to be very detailed and communicate well if you want to avoid the pitfalls of relationships. So that's
like,
my spiel.
All in all,
Absolutely.
like pre-selection, like when women see that other women find you attractive, it definitely really helps. But there's definitely a limit to where it's helping, but then it can really hurt you. So I do agree.
Yeah.
You need to fill in the gaps and let them know, oh, don't worry about it. Like, I'm faithful to you. So
Yeah, because I guess what we're saying is pre-selection is good, but you have to be like responsible at the same time.
100%. 100%.
So that being said, what do you think? So the next topic of conversation that I really want to get to here is hypergamy. Mm-hmm. And the reason is I know there's a little bit of a science behind this, but I think it's within human nature to marry a little bit above what you actually are. Like me personally, if it was up to me, I would like to try and marry someone that's maybe a little bit more attractive than what I view myself as. And I mean, if I had someone that was roughly around, I guess, a similar attractive level than me, which I really don't know what that would be from a woman's perspective, for lack of a better term. But generally, I think we want to try and marry up. But from what I understand, it's not just marrying into more attractive people. It can also be like socioeconomic status that you could be looking into marrying, which, obviously gold diggers, fall into that logic, unfortunately. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I think in general people want an attractive partner. I think speaking from a guy's perspective, I think most guys, would be fine with a girl that they view as attractive that's around their level, their looks level. I think women are generally similar. Like women want a guy that they find attractive, but I will say that I think women tend to want to date and marry guys that are more attractive than them in general, I would say, from a looks perspective, from a money perspective, status perspective. That's from my experience. I think women tend to date up and across what they believe they are.
There's a lot of excellent women out there, women of class. In fact, as far as I know, most of the women in my life, if not all of them, are wonderful. But that pisses me off to see entitled women who think that they deserve a lifestyle that is far above what they essentially deserve. I know guys can fit into that as well, but it's almost like I see women encapsulating that a lot more, especially in today's modern society.
I mean, there's levels to this shit,
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, to me, it depends on what you value. So if you're a woman of materialistic values, you see a guy next to a Lamborghini and your heart emojis in your eyes light up, right? But
literally,
same guy, different woman could see him as a total poser, a shallow piece of shit, and she could be attractive herself. And why is that? She doesn't value necessarily the same things as the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think hypergamy can definitely be used in the realm of looks. It can be used in the realm of what your resources are. It can also be in other things, like what's your health like? Like if you're someone that, works or works out, goes hiking and stuff, and this girl doesn't go out as much as you, she could see you as a step up from where they're at because they want to be healthy. You kind of become the person you surround yourself with. So in a way, hypergamy can be a good thing. They could see you as an outlet to better health. They could see you as an outlet to better emotional well-being. Those are like the plus sides of hypergamy. It can be negative too. They can see you as a paycheck.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to necessarily be like the only value money, so that's why they're dating you, or the only value for your looks. So, don't get punched in the face and have a broken nose.
Yeah, that's the positive side of hypergamy. Like, I think as a guy, we've all been on the plus side of hypergamy, where a woman views you as the catch, and then we've all been on the negative side of hypergamy. I guess I'll give you two examples. The one example is like, I remember 2 years ago I was in a club in Sweden, like in Stockholm, and I was talking to this girl that I thought was like really, really stunning. We were having a conversation probably 5 minutes in, and then all of a sudden this like 6'6", like Swedish Giga Chad just like walks by, and like I remember her like being like, we were hitting it off pretty well. I remember like when this guy walked by, she just like turned her head and she's like, oh my God. So like in that moment, I realized like there's always a bigger fish. Yeah. Like there's always someone who's better looking, who's richer, more status, taller, more funny, whatever adjective that women view as attractive, there's always someone better than you out there. And it's realizing that, and it's humble. You got to humble yourself. And then like from like a money status standpoint, like I guess I'll say like last year I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'd gone on 2 dates with this girl named Chelsea Scott. She was, if you guys know reality TV, it's like this Southern reality TV show with like a bunch of rich people, and they like act like assholes, and like it's a really funny show. Like they show them all around town, and there's like lawyers and stuff they film and stuff. And I had gone on 2 dates with her. Both dates went pretty well. I thought they went as well as they could be. And then once I left, I tried to follow up with her a couple times and wasn't able to. But for her, she had dated this guy named Shep Rose, who was like the head, like one of the people that were filming the most. So she was like used to dating like a caliber of guy that was like had some fame. And I was just, to her, she probably looked at me as like, this guy doesn't compare to what I've had.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand what it's like to be on the losing side of hypergamy as well.
Well, it's funny because something I heard a radio host say years ago, but kind of what you're hitting on is like, in her eyes, you want to be Superman. Now, her version of Superman varies. It could be the Giga Chad in Sweden.
Yep.
It could be a reality TV star doing shows today currently. But if it's a local girl and you have a good job,
you're the Superman.
You're Superman that day.
For sure.
And you want to always be the hero in her eyes, I think. You don't want to be
number 4 or 5.
the victim or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Like there is a sympathy card you can play, but you don't want to be always the victim. You want to be the superhero.
You want to be the superhero
as the guy.
in
It's a bit
eyes,
of a double standard, but as a guy, that's what you need to be.
Yeah, you want to be a guy that's highly desired in her mind. Like
Yeah.
if you're not the guy who's highly desired, if she's thinking about someone else, if she views this guy as up here and you as here, you don't want that girl. You want a girl that views you as the Superman, so quote unquote.
I think it's safe to say that a lot of this can come down to influences of social media. And, a lot of women kind of, I don't want to say spreading lies of saying, oh, what you deserve, you deserve a man that, makes 6 figures and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, a lot of this can come down to what is being discussed in the home. I mean, obviously, every dad wants their daughter to be successful and marry into a successful marriage. But I think that's going to be a conversation for another day because we are out of time.
Wow,
that hour went by really, really quickly.
That was a good hour. So time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. Well, no, guys, thank you very much for coming on over and, doing this. I believe it's the 4th installation of Busy on Break. And obviously we're going to be getting a little bit more consistent with these uploads. And, now since everybody's life is kind of settled down, quite literally, for at least over the next couple weeks, we're going to have some guests on. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, when are we getting the first guest?
And my assumption is the next episode.
Oh, awesome.
Next episode. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he say yes?
Yeah, he absolutely wants to be on it, and I think it's pretty much going to happen. We just have to set up the date, which I believe is going to be 2 weeks from now, which is going to be the next taping of Busy on Break episode 5. So
okay,
let's try and make it happen, guys.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Rylan, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Shane, thank you very much for joining. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
I want to say something.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Shane, for being the best man at my wedding. Thank you, Joe, for being the love of my... No, I'm just kidding. But more important...
Fearing the host of our show.
If you didn't know, Joe's my wife. But no, but most importantly, thank you, Tom Cruise.
Thank you, Dave
Danny
Grohl.
DeVito.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Danny DeVito, for giving me so many clicks.
Thank you for becoming a part of this debauchery of an episode, and it literally landed in some shit quite literally earlier as well. So
We made a big splash today.
we
You can
did.
hear it.
Royal splash, a royal flush. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Busy on Break. Y'all have a good one. Stay happy, stay healthy. Take it easy.
Meow.